Howdy. My name is John, and this video is my October 2022 reading wrap-up. The first book I finished was Nightmares and Dreamscapes by Stephen King. This is a collection of short stories. There were not any stories that I disliked, but most of the stories were just okay for me. There were 2 or 3 that I enjoyed. My favorite story was The 10 O'Clock People. In this story, people who were heavy smokers and then kind of cut back but not quit completely, they can start to see aliens that are disguised as human beings. In this book, King also writes about when his son Owen was in the Little League playoffs and their run in that. And I also really enjoyed that as well. The next book I finished is Mary's Monster by Lita Judge. This is a biography of Mary Shelley, the author of Frankenstein. Every page is illustrated similar to this. There's not a whole lot of text, which makes it a really quick read. Because of the way it's written, it's very little information about Mary. It is sufficient. Personally, I would have liked to have gotten more information about Mary Shelley and the times that she lived in. Still, for what it is, it's a good read. I gave it 3 stars. The next book I finished is Politician by Piers Anthony. This is the 3rd volume of his Bio of a Space Tyrant series. This book really disappointed me. It had potential, but it's a science fiction story set about 500 years in the future. However, it so closely parallels the kind of politics of the 1980s that it loses a lot of its impact for me. If Anthony wanted to have written, a commentary on that time, he really should have chosen a different format or changed the world significantly enough to where you could still see the parallels, but they weren't so obvious. The next book I read on my Kindle, and it's Beguiled by Night by Nicole Eigener. Basically, this is a vampire romance, and if you're kind of into that kind of thing, this might be a good read for you. I enjoyed it, but it's not my favorite type of story, so I gave this one 3 stars as well. The next book I finished was The Last Battle. This is the final book of the Chronicles of Narnia by C.S. Lewis. Really enjoyed my reread of The Last Battle. I actually thought this might be my favorite of the series after rereading it. It's actually not. It's my 3rd favorite after Voyage of the Dawn Treader and The Lion, the Witch, and the Wardrobe. Still, I enjoyed the story, and I gave it 5 stars. The next book I finished was GENU. Now, this is a collaboration of 3 authors plus the illustrator, one of the authors of whom is Tom from Tom L.A. Books. I did enjoy reading this. Unfortunately, the graphic novel type of story really isn't my favorite, so that did affect my reading of this a little bit. And also, the story really doesn't make sense until the very end, and I'm sure that was a deliberate decision, but it did kind of reduce my enjoyment of it as well. If you're into science fiction and you want to support a fellow booktuber, I do suggest you give this a try. I gave it 3 stars. The next book I finished is My Grandmother Asked Me to Tell You That She's Sorry by Fredrik. I did really enjoy reading this one. Your enjoyment might depend on how well you like the grandmother character in this. She's one of those type of people that I enjoy reading about, but probably wouldn't enjoy knowing in real life. The grandmother has an almost 8-year-old granddaughter named Elsa, and she's a delight as well. The pace of the story does get a little bit too slow for my taste in the middle part of it especially, so I wound up giving it 4 stars. The last book I finished in October was Prelude to Foundation by Isaac Asimov. This book is a prequel to his Foundation series. I actually read this book 2 years ago, and it started me on a much expanded reading of Isaac Asimov's work. And rereading this, I kind of understand why, because this book ties back especially to his Robot series. There's also a pretty big twist at the end of this book, and it was interesting seeing kind of all of the signs that pointed to the twist. I did not enjoy this reread quite as much as I think I enjoyed the first time I read this through. Obviously, for one, it's a fairly recent reread, so I kind of knew what was going on and what was going to happen. And also, I think there's just things that kind of noticed about myself as a reader over the past couple of years that kind of bother me in books, and this one has that. Like, I think the storyline is a bit too convenient for my taste, but still, this is a very enjoyable read. I don't think you necessarily have to read this before you read the Foundation trilogy. In fact, I'm pretty sure you don't. But if you want to read this and get background information on the man who invented psychohistory, this is an excellent choice. That finishes up my reading in October. I hope you had a good month. Thank you for watching this video, and I hope you enjoy the rest of your day.